Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming at such early moment on the start of a work week. We're still expecting people to come in. There were some traffic issues, so the places will fill over the next hour or so. But we have a very strict timeline, so we're going to start right on time. And well, thank you for coming to the 6th International Reporting 3.0 conference. Thank you to our speakers, about 50, a little bit more than 50 speakers over 2 days. Thank you to all our advocation partners, our academic alliance partners, our collaborators, and everybody who's also a novice to the Reporting 3.0 community. Welcome and enjoy the next 2 days in base camp. Base camp to mount thrivability, as we call it. So when we just look at what's happened since the last conference about a year ago, you couldn't believe what happened within just 1 year. Just to give you a couple of examples, you see young people on the streets, and when we chose the title Implementing Thrivable Transformation, we just chose also sort of an undertitle, Breakthroughs in a World of Predatory Delay, Climate Emergency, and Social Political Breakdown. Or even meltdown, if you want. So much is happening since this last year, since we had our last conference. You know, somebody like Greta Thunberg, who just on Friday celebrated her 43rd week of climate striking. We didn't know anything about her about a year ago. We didn't even know her name. So you see how she was able to energize millions of young kids and students and parents and scientists to go out on the street and demand something better, because we think we all deserve better. Or, for example, if you look at, I wanted to show that actually, if you look at the Extinction Rebellion, something that became quite visible earlier this year, that is also something that we didn't, or many of us didn't even know about a year ago. So we have the Fridays for Future, we have the Parents for Future, we have the Scientists for Future. And that was also one of the reasons why we invited young entrepreneurs to this conference as well, many of them finalizing their studies at the moment. And we invited them to send us a solicitation, why it would be interesting for them to be at this conference. And when you look back at the letters that we got, heartwarming on the one hand, and terrifying on the other hand. Because a lot of them were really saying, I do not get the education I need. There is something wrong with the education that I get. So a lot of that was reasoning for us to say, okay, bring them here, the young entrepreneurs still in the finishing moments of their studies, and we're very grateful to actually have you here. So please enjoy these 2 days. And we also asked them to write a one-pager after this conference with their learnings, with their value added from this conference, and also again, using it as a roadmap for future education and how that should actually look. So welcome to all of you. And from there, I want to move to another issue, the Green New Deal. Again, one of these words or one of these notions that many of us haven't even heard about a year ago. And with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the US, this has really gotten, it's like women power really moving to the forefront, looking at what's actually needed for a green, inclusive, and open economy to be able to come into existence. And funnily, this sort of parallel development already happened in the UK since 2007. And we just learned yesterday at our speakers' dinner that the team from the US really went to the UK to learn about the Green New Deal idea from the UK and sort of exported that or imported that into the US and really made their own version out of this. Again, a year ago, we weren't even aware of these developments. So these are all major developments just within 1 year. So that really gives us hope that that change that also Reporting 3.0 is advocating for becomes more and more possible. We actually call ourselves necessaryists. I think the big differentiator between what we see and most of the initiatives out there is really that we see that most of them are really not building the world from the other side of the bridge. They move into forecasting of what is practically possible, maybe politically opportune, but not what is necessary when it comes to a green, inclusive, and open economy to come into life. We chose a different approach. We are backcasting. We are backcasting from an ideation of what this green, inclusive, and open economy should be like, and build the necessary roadmap from there. So what's needed to get us there up until the moment that we have to have it achieved. And you hardly see that anywhere, and that, I think, is a major differentiator of our work in comparison to many of the other initiatives and networks that we see out there. So for those of you that are new to Reporting 3.0, just a little bit of orientation to just let you know who we are and how we see ourselves and what we do. And for those in the network who know us a little bit more, this is a bit of a repetition and a reminder of what we're striving for. So first of all, we are producing global public goods. So when you hear us talking about our blueprints, these are recommendations to the world, readily available on our website, free of charge for download. We think that everything that we produce needs to be available for everybody in this world to take these recommendations and do something with it. And we very often say, you either do something with it or not. If you're not doing something with it, somebody else will. So we believe in that positivity of a market mechanism to allow that to happen. We also call ourselves positive mavericks. And that on purpose, because we know that we run against windmills, we get a bloody nose every now and then, we have scars on our back, but we know why we do it. So you have to have this positivism, daring to do what we do, and to really be also part of that. And very often we say, if you want to break through, most likely you will first need to break out of some existing hesitations or handcuffs or straitjackets that many people tell us that they are in, and really not giving them the sort of freedom and even a little bit of slack time in their daily jobs to think what might be a better solution. We have a scalable ambition. So everything that we do, we look from the perspective of pace, scale, and scope. That is very important for us because we know that the magnitude of the urgency is immense. And very often when we see people talking about purpose economy and all these things, these are all very nice little solutions. But if they don't scale to what we call the meso level and the macro level, really changing an economic system design, it will per se still be incremental. And by that, not enough. So scalability is always that, nudges into our heads all the time when we think about the way how we organize work that we do. We say we're blueprinting the future. So we're not developing standards. We're not developing a business model canvas or a software piece or a new accounting standard or reporting standard. We give recommendations to those actors in these niche fields because we don't want to be in competition with them. We see ourselves as pre-competitive and market making. Pre-competitive means take our recommendations and implement them. As I said, you either do or you don't. If you don't, somebody else will do it. And market making, because we know that what we often hear back from people is that they say, yeah, but nobody's asking for this. This is why certain organizations just don't move forward, because they are forecasting. They're not backcasting as we do, and then taking the necessary steps. And that is again, a major differentiator of our work. And then finally, we're piloting what we call next generation practices. So with the work that we've been doing so far, with the transformation journeys that we're doing, we're trying to find solutions that are practically implementable and do that through certain of our outcomes. So if you look at the development of Reporting 3.0 in a nutshell, we went through 1 or 2 phases already where at the beginning there was really soul searching. Is there enough appetite of people to really leapfrog to what's necessary to achieve and serve a green, inclusive, and open economy? And then the second phase, the end of the first phase, was to design a work ecosystem, to develop these blueprints, and that's what we've done over the last couple of years. And based on that, we also developed the Transformation Journey program that led to a couple of editions of that. And we're now moving into a second phase where we are testing these things out and want to deliver more on the implementation of our recommendations. So that's a very exciting new phase for us at Reporting 3.0. So most of you will have seen some of these blueprints, 5 in total. That's what we delivered until the end of last year, until the last conference, the 5th conference, the reporting, the accounting, the data, the new business model, and the transformation journey blueprint. Those are the outcome documents, the global public goods that we offer to the world to read, to implement, and to scale. So this conference takes a little bit advantage of the language that we've been using in the transformation journeys. And the design of the conference is actually organized in 4 major tracks. We have the village track, where most of the keynote speeches are going to be held. This is really for excitement, for really pushing us towards a picture of what this green, inclusive, and open economy has to be like. Then we have the journey track. The journey track is really for those who've been through the transformation journey programs with us and have developed their own case studies and their own implementation parts of that. So we will hear in a couple of sessions how they have actually taken benefit of the transformation journey program. Then we have the third track, which is called the Sherpas. This is really where we want to showcase how many of our advocation partners, some of them here in the room, have actually implemented the knowledge of Reporting 3.0 in their own value propositions. We have started the advocation program, advocation partner program 2 years ago. Last year we had about 35 advocation partners. We're now at close to 80 advocation partners. And they come from all parts of the world with all different backgrounds. They are sustainability consultants, classical consultants, there are IT consultants, HR consultants, leadership consultants, but there are also other initiatives and networks that want this closer collaboration with us. And then finally we have the campfires. Those are a little bit more, let's say, the deeper dives, and showcase a couple of examples in a bit more depth. So just some logistics. We're at the Erasmus Pavilion, where most of the sessions will take place. The campfires actually take place in the Pollack building. That's just opposite of this building. So very easy to find, and all of the room numbers are in your program. So your program actually is your conference guide. Everything that is necessary for you to know is in there. If you want to use social media, Twitter handle is hashtag reporting3, and the Twitter account that you can refer to is @reporting3org. So, one thing that we just want to quickly announce is that some of the outcomes of this session will actually be looked at in more depth, and Bill, who's the Senior Director of Reporting 3.0 here in the front row, will also speaking at these virtual dialogues starting next week. And also that all of the sessions here in the auditorium are actually recorded, and we will publish snippets of the different presentations later on our website. Finally, thank you to our sponsors, and that already leads us into a couple of words of welcome by some of our sponsors. It is always important as a not-for-profit that you have that extra backup. Otherwise, the ticket sales alone, wouldn't enable us to do conferences like these. So we thank our sponsors from gold to silver to bronze, and many others have done little bits and pieces helping us to get this organized and to let us stand here today. So with that, what I want to do is that we ask some of our sponsors to say a word of welcome. And I want to start actually with Wim Hogendoorn from the city of Rotterdam. I'm just grabbing a hand mic here. And yeah, working. And welcome you to the stage to say a couple of words for welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Wim.
Thank you. It's always a bit inconvenient to be introduced as a sponsor. So, well, that's part of what I did and what I hope to do these days. But okay, money is only money. Not unimportant, Ralph. But we hope to provide more knowledge, inspiration. What's inconvenient as well is that I'm going to speak from paper a little bit today. Normally I never do, but the content is too important and, well, the message too. So I have to look sometimes on my paper. Apology for that. Wim Hoogdon, I'm one of the directors of the, well, municipal organization of the city of Rotterdam. It's not so important what my work is, but I want to share with you what my passion is, and my passion is to try to solve the big social problems in Rotterdam, not from out of the municipality and local government. My belief is that we only have a small role in that, but we have to do it together. In the first place with Rotterdammers itself, so with our inhabitants. Second, with the entrepreneurs in the city, big or small, philanthropists, funds, and I think that only when we build such coalitions we can solve the big problems that we have in the city. I will tell you a little bit more about that. So welcome also on behalf of our board, of our mayor and aldermen. It's always very nice to welcome people in our city, to have a nice and good congress as we have in front of us for the coming 2 days. Dus warm welcome on behalf of them as well. And it's great to be here at the Erasmus Pavilion and see so many people, but Ralph said there are coming in some more, for the conference of these 2 days. And the tagline of the conference, implementing thrivable transformation, is very fit with what we do here in Rotterdam. So you couldn't have chosen a better city to have focus on implementation, because in Rotterdam is the only city in the world where they sell shirts with rolled up sleeves. I see you already do it. You can buy them here, they're in the shops, you can buy them here in the shops. The only city in the world where they sell shirts with rolled up sleeves. So you feel at home already, I see. Rotterdam has always been in the forefront of social change. And why is that? I always said because we have the problems, but we always have the solution. And problems, I understand, there are people from every part of the world, problems on a Dutch scale. But when I came to Rotterdam and I worked over here and I worked on the social department, I saw things in this city where I thought that wouldn't exist in the Netherlands in this time. Children who go to school every day without breakfast, who don't have money to go to sports, they never go on holiday, they don't have any education, it's unsafe, it's violent in their environment. So it's and as I said, always on a Dutch scale. One of my colleagues always say, do you think something's bad? Aleppo's bad. And he's very right about that. So there are a lot of bigger problems in the world, but hey, I work in Rotterdam, I live in Rotterdam, so let's make a start. We solve the problems in our own environment and in our own city. 1 of 4 children in Rotterdam grows up in poverty. Poverty on a Dutch scale. Very different than other parts in the world, but still, poverty is a large problem in our city. And that's the biggest problem. When you have a bad start, you can't keep up in the race. There are a few examples, and fortunately my young girlfriend is one of them. When you don't have the possibilities to grow up like others can, you are back and you hardly can reach a high position or good education. You will stick and stay in the environment where you grow up. One of my board members, I have for my organization a board of advice, one of the directors of Rabobank, he was from Turkish parents, and he said, Wim, there was 1% of chance that I would be a director at Rabobank where I'm now. So if you ask me how it is possible, I'm the only one from all the children in that big neighborhood. So there was only 1% chance, and it was because of luck, hard work, people believed in me. So chances are bad when you grow up in the wrong environment. And that's what we try to solve in our city, equal chances for everybody. Done. These numbers are almost the same in many other cities in Europe. So we think it's very important to learn from each other. So although however, our economy is growing, and the national economy is growing, and the international economy is growing. And Rotterdam is growing in activity and in success every day. It's still the fact that social inclusion, as I pointed out, grows too. So when we don't do anything about it, the difference between our inhabitants, we only grow bigger, instead they will be smaller, and that's our deepest wish. And but what makes Rotterdam a great fit for this conference, the 3.0 movement, is the state of mind. That change only happens by doing. I saw it in your first picture as well. Is it impossible? No, it's gone already, but when you work together, it's our strong belief, nothing is impossible. So it's the state of mind, it's the ambition, it's the way of maybe less thinking and more doing, difficult in a government environment, what brings us further. And in our city it means that me turns into we, if we work together. Rotterdam has a long tradition of philanthropy and social innovation, but also corporates in this day recognize that they have to play their part in social change, and that start in the city, and that they can and should play an important role. And they can't look to government only, they have to play their part in it as well. So in Rotterdam, we are in the forefront of implementing those kinds of impact initiatives. And I would say a few last words on this, particularly on this ground of the Erasmus University. The famous Professor Jan Tinbergen, winner of the Nobel Prize, worked here on this ground, as a matter of fact. And one of his, famous words was, if you can't share, you can't multiply. So I wish we share knowledge, wisdom, experience these days to bring a greater future a step closer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wim. Thank you. One of the organizations that we worked with, 2 microphones is one too much, that we worked with in the last 12 months with great success was the region of Northern Brabant. And I'm asking Astrid Kaag to just come up, also to give a little bit more of gender equity to the morning session. And say a couple of words of welcome as well.
Thank you. So, I'm very happy and honored to welcome you on behalf of the province of North Brabant as a sponsor of this exciting event. And I think you have 2 reasons to be a little bit surprised at this moment. The first reason is that I'm standing over here and not Henry Swinkels, and I will come back to that in a minute. The second reason is the fact that we as a regional government, we are sponsoring an event across the borders of our region, since Rotterdam is in another province. And I will explain the logic behind it, because the content of the program of today and tomorrow matches very well with the development that we make as a governmental organization, but also as a region towards a more impact-driven approach. And we cannot do it alone, so therefore it's very important that the tools and the methodology and the insights and the experiences of Reporting 3.0 are also available for us. But it's not only about this tools and methodologies and days like this. It's also about the things that we are going to do together afterwards. Because the development of knowledge and the management of knowledge is also very important. And we have to do it together in this network. And actually, as a provincial organization, we are very happy to be part of it. But we are not only coming to take things. I think we also have something to bring. And it's not only about the policy perspective as a government, but I think also we have experiences to bring about how to use data to achieve or to know more about thresholds, for example. Or we can bring experiences about our transformative practices, in which we collaborate with a lot of different stakeholders in our region. And if you want to know more about it, join us in our workshop in the afternoon. We will talk about it, but also we will give you the possibility to experiment how we do it in our region. It's the workshop about our Brabant Outcomes Fund. And another thing is, I said I will come back to the fact that Henry Swinkels is not here to talk to you. He was our regional minister, one of our regional ministers for the last 4 years. And last week, the new regional council was sworn in, and unfortunately, he was not part of it. But he's in the audience over there, and I want to take the opportunity to thank him from the bottom of my heart for everything that he did the last 4 years, for being the politician that we need in this time of exciting but also difficult economic transformation, for being open-minded, connected, reflective, but most of all, to be courageous. So thank you, Henry, and I know that you will continue the good work in another role and always make sure that you achieve positive impact in society. And to conclude, I welcome you all and I wish you 2 amazing days.
Thank you. Thank you, Astrid. Thank you, Astrid. It has been a pleasure working with you in the last 12 months. Your support is unbelievable, and your believing in what we're doing is unbelievable as well. Well, not totally unbelievable, but a little bit unbelievable. I'm now going to ask our main trustee to come to the stage, say a couple of words as well. That is Peter Teuscher. Just to say that without Peter and his support in the very early days of Reporting 3.0 and continuing up until today, we would not be here. He has been a great source of inspiration, a great source of belief, and has been through us in difficult times already. And therefore, I'm very happy to have you here on stage and say a couple of words of welcome as well, Peter.
Thanks, and a warm welcome from my side. Actually, I'm still a bit dizzy and a bit shaky because my taxi driver had an accident, so I had to witness a little bit of a challenge and abbreviation actually from the planned pathway to come here early and be ready to share that with you. So it can also be used as an image or as let's say a playing field for our journey. So sometimes accidents happen and sometimes events occur that you can't foresee. So you will have to look out for new ways to come to the place that you want to go. So that is my learning from this rather unpleasant event that I was just involved in. But having said that, I'm wanting to say a few words. Ralph asked me to reflect a bit on what my role actually is here. So Ralph said correctly, I'm one of the trustees. Actually the one that heads this not-for-profit organization on commons. So Reporting 3.0 is since 3 years one of the biggest or the biggest program that is run by On Commons, a not-for-profit based in Germany. And before that, Ralph also mentioned that PSD Consulting was actually involved very much with Reporting 3. And the reason for doing that was exactly the fact that PSD Consulting is a consulting firm, an international consulting that is dedicated to sustainability reporting, dedicated to help companies to identify their relevant sustainability challenges and topics. So it's all about materiality, what counts, what is relevant, not only for for the stakeholders, but especially also for investors and the social environment of a company's activities. So we have been supporting more than 150 companies, international, smaller companies, organizations of all kinds, to help them producing their credible and meaningful sustainability and integrated reports. And by doing that, we realized that there are no tools available that really help companies to actually report on their real performance, on 360 degrees, on what their societal impact actually is, and on their performance towards keeping the different capitals in their thresholds and allocations that we actually discussed very much in these early years of reporting 3. So yes, thanks, Alexandra. I will keep it short. This is where I want to just say thanks also for the sponsors, especially the gratitude of Municipality of Rotterdam and Province of North Brabant. Thank you so much for your kind support, and also the other sponsors that are here as well. Thank you so much for making this 6th conference happening and being a possibility to share and learn. And what I really want to encourage us is to think forward, how to implement all that what we now learned, and how to create synergies amongst us, because we are so many different constituencies here sitting together talking about these issues. Let's learn how to accelerate and bring that to reality. I want to say thank you, Ralph and Bill, for the tremendous work that you have done in the past, and especially for that conference. And also Alexandra and all the folks here that helped that conference to take place. Thanks so much, and I wish you encouraging and enriching 2 days ahead of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Next up is Jörg Walden from iPoint Systems. I got to know Jörg about a year ago at a conference of the Lifecycle Innovation Community. And we were standing together and he was listening, and I talked to Martina, who's one of our advocation partners from IFU, and FSLCI, the Forum for Sustainability for Lifecycle Innovation. And Jörg was looking and said, hey, this is important. Hey, let's see what we can do. And here you are. Thank you for being here. A couple of words of welcome also from your side, please.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Jörg Walden. I'm a founder and CEO of iPoint Systems. Like Ralph explained, and like we heard about, we are one of these companies who are generating tools. So we want to implement what's possible and to help the organizations. How do we do this? Maybe I'm jumping back a little bit to the history now, giving you a small explanations where we're coming from. I founded the company 2001. That's nearly 19 years ago now. And the original idea was at this point of time where the internet pushed up heavily, we had the .com issue here. How is data changing the world? What can we do with the data systems in the future? What is the impact of data? Can we save the world with data? Do we need to save the world with data? All these questions were raised at this point of time. And as we're coming out of Germany, Stuttgart, automotive city, the original idea was, okay, what can we do with all the legal requirements we saw in the automotive industry at this point of time? Yeah? At this point of time, there was a lot of discussion, heavy metals, getting ELV, end-of-life vehicle approvals, trying to get recycle rates, trying to get reusable rates on cars, automotive. So this was the first thing we started in implementing integrated system. That's where the name iPoint comes from, integration point. How can we integrate and use data for making better products in the future? So starting with compliance brought us to a journey, I would say 6, 7, 8, 9 years, really successful. We have a global leader position now in the automotive industry where we're helping the companies up to 2008-9, where the first crash comes. The financial crash comes and we were heavily hit into a downturn. And then I really started rethinking, changing the ideas, changing the logo, getting into a circle. Not a green circle, not a blue circle, blue in the new green, a red circle. Really helping the organization, showing we are small, but we can change. We need to look at this, we need to focus, like the Earth around the orbit. It's quite important to look about everything, close the circle. This is where the idea was born, how can we compare and combine compliance with sustainability, with improvement, circular economy? How can we use the data, what's really important to have a legal approval for your product in sustainability? What are the improvements? Hazard waste, getting rid of hazard waste, closing circles with multi-generation materials and things like this. This is where we're combining now more and more sustainability effects, reporting requirements, business improvement, KPIs from the design. We call this a little bit front loading of data. Engineers are the only person who can change something in the design. If they don't think about materials, if they don't think about the process, if they don't think about the supply chain, modern slavery, human trafficking, children work, all this data needs to be combined and made visible to the persons to make the right KPIs and build the future here. So I think this is the direction where we need to go. I'm continuing, yes. And this is the direction where we need to go. And like he said, we have integrated now the IFO who comes from the process side of sustainability. So today, if you go to the organizations, you have too many silos. We want to get rid of the silos. We need to close the circle. We need to look even over the operational boundaries of the organization. How can we combine data? How can we make this visible and create better products in the future? That's the idea behind iPoint. We're very proud to give you more explanation tomorrow, I think, in the campfire session, where we're talking with Martina and Maoye. How can we use blockchain and other technologies for improvements and artificial intelligence for improvements here? So thanks for being here. Thanks for seeing you all, and have a great session. Thank you, Ralph, for organizing this.
So, last but not least, the last bit of welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. The last bit of welcome comes from a friend of us for many, many years. I remember Tjeerd Krumpelman from ABN AMRO, I think, visited us for the first time when we had our second conference, I think it was. We're still in Berlin, in Germany, and then we had 2 conferences at KPMG headquarters in Amstelveen. He was supporting us in these years already and continued his support also into this year. And he's one of those guys who always reminds us, keep the inspiration high, but also show what's practically possible. So how can the tools that you're developing really be implemented? Because that's, of course, that's major learning also for somebody like Tjeerd, and he might even be able to say something about that. So I welcome Tjeerd to the stage as the last welcome speaker, and just give us your pep talk. Your 5 minutes.
Thanks, Ralph. So my pep talk, Monday morning, right? Welcome everybody on behalf of ABN AMRO. It's great to be here. And as Ralph said, the first time I visited Reporting 3.0 was in 2014, Berlin, in the Microsoft offices. And I was new to this role at ABN AMRO on reporting, and I had no clue. And I left there truly inspired. So I left there with the first great leadership examples of integrated reporting, integrated thinking, the next steps in sustainability reporting, and even some first notions of impact reporting back in 2014. So I thought, okay, so now I have stuff to do. So I went back to ABN AMRO, and we started the journey. So we started the journey on integrated thinking, integrated reporting, human rights reporting, and ever since, I've kept coming back to these conferences, and sometimes we shared our learnings, our disappointments, our achievements as well. But I was always looking for the achievements and the inspiration. Hi, Sarah. I didn't see you yet. I was always looking for the inspiration of others and to see where I could learn and bring back expertise to ABN AMRO to say, okay, so now I've heard this company and they're doing this and this, And that's what we are going to do this year. So I'm really hoping to get that inspiration again in these 2 days. We'll share some of our experiences tomorrow together with the Impact Institute. And they are not all positive experiences. There were some big challenges there, and there still are. But I'll share them tomorrow. And I'm hoping to get some inspiration today and tomorrow for the next couple of years at ABN AMRO. Thank you very much.
And Tjeerd, I can say we tried our very best, and always keep your words in mind. So you're also hanging the bar